All right, folks. Thanks for joining us again on a Family Through Service of V2VG podcast.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I think you
nailed it down.
Hey, you're getting it right.
So we're doing something. We're going to try to keep it light today.
Yeah, I think we've had some emotionally charged videos recently.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's have a little bit of fun today.
No, why not?
So
and it comes on the back of my second oldest son, Patrick. His graduation gift from us was a tattoo. We went to a tattoo shop in St. J yesterday and got his second tattoo.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was a great tattoo. It took 4 hours, but he was a trooper, and he muscled through it. Didn't take any breaks or anything.
Well, then he would only have got a half of a graduation present, right? Like,
You have the outline, and that's it. The rest is up to you, kid.
So, but I mean, he's already had one before, so he knows what to expect.
He knew what to expect, generally speaking. He said this one was a little more tough because they did hit next to the elbow, and I'll put a picture up on the video if I remember to of what the tattoo looks like, and maybe his first tattoo, so that people can see the difference. So, I think today we want to talk about body modifications and at least how body modifications were treated in the military when we were in.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
We hate to admit it, but we've been out for a good hot minute.
Yeah. Yes.
Things have they've changed, man.
Right. I mean, you were in, and you were just barely a father of two, and here your son
I was in when they still wore, in the Army, they wore BDUs and black boots.
And, now you're the father of a son who just graduated Air Force boot camp.
Yeah.
Who's expecting his first child, which is, so...
I'm the grandest of Poombas. Grandpa.
Yeah. So
what's cool about that is that it's a generational thing. My grandfather served. Actually, my great-grandfather served. My grandfather, my father, me, and now my oldest son. So it's kind of neat that he's carrying on the tradition of putting on a uniform as the eldest son in the family. So that's cool. And he does have tattoos also, which if I can find the tattoos on a picture, I'll put them up on the video also. But you also have tattoos.
I have a tattoo, which I got after the Marine Corps, which I think that's kind of how our whole thing started.
Before you went to boot, right?
No, I waited after I was out. But there are people who are on the early
delay and entry program.
Program, and they think that they're already in, and they get the moto haircut and the tattoos, and in my experience,
SMC, and they haven't even graduated boot.
Yeah, in my experience, that did not go over well, especially in boot camp. I mean, a lot of these drill instructors are lifers. They take it very seriously.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of an insult for someone who hasn't been out of mommy or daddy's basement, putting on this tattoo on their body is,
I could see that, yeah.
And as well as I do, it's the same with the haircut. I mean, hair grows back, but the tattoo, if you don't make it through boot camp, then what? Now you're stuck with, and so you're in a position you either have to cover it up, you have to lie about it, or you have to be honest about being a fraud. And
that's
so you know what I mean. So
that won't happen. Yeah.
There's.
Will happen. So the body modification. We'll talk about the haircut first, which isn't really a modification. But I told my son Matthew. Actually, we told him.
Yeah, both. Yeah.
Don't be the guy to shave your head before you go to basic, because they're going to cut your hair and they're going to get their pound of flesh from you. They'll find hairs to cut.
Yeah.
And if you go there with your hair shaven clean, they're gonna rip into you. They're gonna make you sit in the chair anyway and scrape your scalp.
Yeah, it will look like
that's what they did when I was in basic.
Oh, for sure. It'll look like you had a sunburn. Like it will be red and raw.
Yeah. So you're gonna sit in the chair one way or another. So you can cut your hair close,
but give them something to cut.
Give them something
for sure.
To cut.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't cut your hair. Close cropped hair or whatever. We're not saying that, but don't do the whole buzz. I mean, just go there like a normal fucking person.
Seriously.
And don't go there with a T-shirt on that says Army, Marines, Air Force. Like, just put on your fucking shirt and go to basic training like a normal human being.
The thing is, too,
don't be a pre-boot.
What are these hairdressers or barbers have to entertain them other than a stupid 18, 19-year-old who thinks they're already ahead of the game? You know, like that's entertainment for those guys. Or like,
you want to get ahead of the game? Start running.
Yes.
Do some PT.
Everywhere.
Run everywhere.
Forrest
Do some PT.
Gump.
I did suggest that to my son, and he didn't take my advice, and he lamented it. But
yes.
Now in MEPS, so before you go to military, you go to MEPS, which is Military Entrance Processing Station, and you have tattoos. They log it all down, right? And it's for a couple reasons. One, it's to identify you in case you get blown to bits, and they can only identify you by your tattoos. But there's another reason for it, and what's one of the reasons? What is one of the things they're looking for on tattoos?
Well, you know, and obviously they, just like our exception to policy, they have waivers for everything.
They do.
But when we were in, the big thing that even waivers weren't accepted for was anything that was gang affiliated or looking like it was gang affiliated.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, they don't want to have people of that caliber involved in, because now you have someone of a criminal element going into an organized, situation, and they could very easily start that criminal element all over again.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely a bad situation, especially in boot camp and the beginning stages of
and also
training.
Racism, KKK, swastikas,
obviously, yeah,
things like that. So they're on the lookout for anything that will identify the person as a extremist of one stripe or another.
Yeah.
So they're looking out for those things. So there's reasons for that, and the military has changed and modified its policies on tattoos back and forth. One of the policies that they have is that you can't get a tattoo below your wrist or above your neckline, your collar line.
Yeah, and I heard that, but I don't think it was implemented when we had gone in early 2000s.
I think it's in place now. If anybody knows, let us know what it. I mean, we could have looked it up, but we didn't. I don't know. But that's the standard, because the idea is that when you're in uniform, Class A's, not Class B's, short sleeve.
Yeah, like
when you're in your Class A uniform and you're in your full monkey suit, you're not supposed to have any distinguishing marks shown as far as tattoos go. So, no, bitch or fuck you on your knuckles or whatever. Stuff like that. So,
right. I mean,
nothing that can't be covered up. So, I mean, do they have an exception to policy or a waiver? Probably. But if you do, you need to have that before you go in. So if you're already in the military and you go back to your command with a fuck life, or fuck army tattoo on your knuckles, you might get an administrative separation for that.
Yeah.
It's very possible. You'll for sure get a counseling statement and maybe an Article 15.
And at the very least, it'll affect your opportunity for promotion and higher pay, and
absolutely,
and or even little things like liberties. Man, maybe you're stuck doing a month's worth of
CQ or whatever. You'll be on detail. You've just been voluntold for a month.
Oh, but it's Thanksgiving and everybody's getting a 96. Well, not you.
Yeah, somebody needs to stay back, and you just volunteered yourself. Well, how? Your tattoo.
And then, worst case scenario. I mean, what it could be like a honorable under other than, or general under other than honorable,
which
depending
nowadays,
on what it was.
They're using that more and more now, even for some more serious crimes. So we need to look into that for our policy.
Yeah.
But that's a separate thing. But some of I've seen some pretty interesting tattoos in the military. Now, Marines very often they get USMC of some stripe on, and that's typically what you have.
Yeah.
USMC. Soldiers get a variety of things. A lot of soldiers get their first unit that they were assigned to, their first division patch. Yeah. I don't have that. As a matter of fact, I have no military insignia on. There's no tattoo on my body that shows that I was in the Army.
Just the Arabic.
Just They have Arabic on my arms. It's Hebrew, but the fact that I have tattoos is used to be indicative of somebody who served in the military or the police force. It's no longer the case now. In the 90s, I joined in 97. It was very, people in the military got tattoos. People in the military have some things about them. They have tattoos and they smoke or dip.
Yes.
That was a big, and drink. Those were the big things about people, at least men in the military at that time. So it's kind of gotten away from that a little bit, I think.
It seems that way, yeah, for sure. I mean, just like you said, both your sons have tattoos already, and I know your daughter has talked about interest in them. So
I don't know why.
You know, there are people who are getting it as a way to express themselves,
Sure.
and that's fine, right? So if you're going to do it and you're proud of something, joining the military or whatever it is, your ancestry, don't you have your shield, like
I have
your family crest?
My coat of arms, yeah.
Yeah.
My coat of arms.
Those...
a coat of arms I pulled off the internet.
That's great. Yeah. Don't get your boyfriend or your girlfriend's name on you.
Matter of fact, we talked about that yesterday at the tattoo shop, and the tattoo artist said she considered that a bad luck charm.
Like, seriously, I mean...
I have one name on my body on tattoo. It's my oldest son's name, and it's a celebration tattoo. It's very bright colored because it was a celebration of my oldest son's. Actually, I take that back. I have all my kids' names on me. One's a guardian angel, and she has it on a banner underneath her. But a singular tattoo, it's my kids' names because you can't take that. They can't change.
With your kids, it's
right.
Your kids or memorial, someone who's passed away, understandable. But again, it's
not
I've been
even marriage for
6
6 months.
I'm talking about boyfriend, girlfriend, especially if you're a boot and like you know how many hood rats you're gonna run into or base rats. That
I heart Rolanda for life. You know Rolanda is probably. Well, whatever. We're not going to get into that.
She got like 4 other boyfriends. You know?
Another thing for body modifications is more now than before are piercings. And the military is very much now and when we were in opposed to.
Well, for males, you're not allowed to have any.
Yeah, piercings is like a no.
None.
And for females, piercings are very regulated.
Strictly to studs on the ears, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And I think there's even a limit how many holes you can have on each ear. But anything below, anything other than your ears is absolute no. As far as I understand it, with for females as well.
But the culture that we live in is very big on piercing modifications now. My daughter has piercings all over her ears, and she's got a nose piercing, which I didn't really want, but my wife and I compromised, and she got a nose piercing. So, like with the cats.
Yeah, yeah.
The cats. There's a podcast episode about that, but anyway. So piercings are, and some men like to have, like they have gauges in their ears and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if they have waivers for that. I mean, I'm sure they do. I'm trying to think.
But you can't maintain having piercings. The metal in it, you know.
So there's nobody on post that you'll see walking around with a huge gauge in their ear.
And even with the women, you won't be seeing them with hoops or super dangly. And if you do, it's either one of those base rats or someone who's breaking the rules, because that's not at all normal.
No, it's definitely not normal. It's supposed to be they're off post. But we're talking about on post, active duty, or a reserve National Guardsman who was activated on drill. There was a point when I had an eyebrow ring when I was 19.
Yeah.
And I went to drill because I was in the National Guard for about 6 months at first. So I transferred to active duty because I was like, this isn't what I want. And I put a small Band-Aid over it, and they were like, whatever. And then we were doing something out in the field, and the Band-Aid came off, and they were like, hey, come here. And they were like, whoop. They took it out, and I was like, well, whatever.
Did they take it out or rip it out? You know, like in Heartbreak Ridge?
No, they took it out.
Well, that was nice of them, because in Heartbreak Ridge, you know, Clint Eastwood rips that earring right out of the kid's ear. Yeah. I mean, yes, it's a movie, but I wouldn't put it past most Marine staff NCOs to do something like that.
Yeah,
so
there might have been a conflict if that kid had ripped it out of my eye. Wow.
Yeah.
But he didn't take it all the way out. He grabbed it and was like, "Hey, this needs to come out." And I was like,
"Fair enough."
I understand. That's why I had a Band-Aid over it. So I took it out, and I had the eyebrow ring for like 2 weeks, and I was like, whatever. I was just fucking around. Surprisingly, it didn't even hurt going in.
Oh well.
And it hurt a lot less taking it out.
So, And so that's like some of the upper
But some of
face,
them
right?
have this stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
So you got
these.
the bullhorn thing, and then even
those
on
are
the
like, no.
on the chin, right underneath the
this
the
thing,
lip.
this deal.
Normally you see like a horn or something, and now you can see like ones in the cheek, like just weird stars
So
or
the
whatever.
new thing is implants, right? It's not new, but kind of new-ish.
Yeah.
Implants, like they have the whole like underneath your skin,
Yeah,
like bump, like Klingon implant type thing, or I don't know if people know who Klingons are anymore, but
Right. You're dating yourself. You know.
Right. But what do we say? What are the only acceptable implants for men?
Penile.
Penile
right?
implants.
I mean,
because they're not going to check, and they're not, well, the urinalysis observer might
yeah,
find out.
possibly. I've only had 4 though, so
Penile implants.
yeah, just 4. I'm finally satisfied. Right?
It's spiked for her pleasure.
You know, so but it's interesting how self conscious our youths are, like more and more so, because you see these body modifications, breast implants, and let's get past the fact that someone having a mastectomy and breast cancer and getting now that you're talking about a woman having a woman's body, and so that can be damaging. But as far as cosmetic stuff, just to look better, it's very interesting to see how many people are doing it and how young now.
Younger and younger, from what I know. And the military, I don't know what the military's stance on cosmetic surgery like breast augmentation is. But I mean, if it, I know that anything that causes a hindrance to the uniform is a problem.
So I guess if they don't know about it or notice it, so if it's subtle, then if you're going from, a size A bra and then all of a sudden you're in a double D, like that is going to bring some probably unwanted attention.
They're going to be like, what's happening?
Why none of your uniforms fit? Like none of them.
Right. So
now that costs the Army or the military or actually it'll cost you. They're going to force you to buy all new uniforms and stuff.
It's another misconception that the military provides your uniforms. They provide uniforms when you go in through training. Other than that, you do get a clothing allowance, but it doesn't really cover.
Very proportionate. Yeah.
So the only thing they provide is in your initial training, but typically you're going to pay for your own shit.
Now, we're talking about piercings and implants. What about like nipple piercings and vaginal and penile piercing too? Like, what is the point of that? Like, the only way to see it, unless you're a guy and you got your shirt off, the only way to see or even show those things off is in an intimate setting.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't understand the whole
that falls
principle
under the don't
of
ask,
that.
don't tell thing. Like, are you allowed to get those? No, but can you get them? Sure, because they're not going to find out. I mean, in training,
except for boot camp, because
training they'll know,
you
'cause
shower
taking a
with
shower.
everybody. Yeah,
Exactly.
You shower with everybody, and Matthew said, even in the Air Force, there's still there's stalls, but you're still visibly naked to everybody. So like,
right. So
you know,
I mean, the chances of them seeing your nipple piercings or whatever, they're gonna see it.
yeah. So
So that could cause a problem because someone's gonna be like, "What the fuck," But when you're in your unit or in fleet for the Marines or the Navy, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you're wearing just your T-shirt, if you're doing detail or something, they could probably see that.
possibly, yeah. It just all depends. With me, because my nipples are like always hard. Yes. But, I mean, some people aren't like that. But but the thing is so if they don't notice and it's not a visual hindrance on the uniform, and that should be with first responders too. I don't know as far as what their rules are, but you shouldn't, as a police officer or EMT, be showing up with hooker hoops on your ears and like all kinds of
dangerous, 'cause
ridiculous
that could be
things
ripped out of your ears and stuff. And I think most police departments have varying degrees of strictness on what they can do. The problem is that there's a lot of police departments that still have very strict rules about visible tattoos, and they make their police officers like wear a sleeve. They give them sleeves.
Yep.
They have like nylon
It's
or
almost like
spandex
a
sleeves.
sports sleeve, where you can wear it underneath your T-shirt and things, and it goes all the way down to the
it's
wrist.
2021. Come on. Unless the tattoo is something offensive, blatantly offensive, because everybody finds offense at everything.
Yeah, we'll do.
Blatantly offensive, like,
We will definitely do a show on what is and what shouldn't be considered offensive at some point.
You offend me.
Well, I have that way about myself, So what about other things like dyeing the hair? Like I see when I grew up, it was like an older woman thing because they wanted to get rid of the gray hair. Now it's not even a woman thing. Now, I mean, we have one of our board members' son. He's always got different color hair.
Yep.
I know your son does it.
Dyeing your hair is a big. Yep. Dyeing your hair is a big thing. I don't know what I think the rules are in the military that you can dye your hair, but it has to be a natural hair color.
And that would make sense, right? I mean.
Yeah. But the other thing to consider is also I just lost it. Dang. So dyeing your hair is a big one, and
because now they even have stuff for men for their beards and mustaches.
Oh, beards! That's what I was getting at. Beards. When I was in, the only people who were authorized beards were special operators.
Yeah, special. Oh man, if even on long weekends, if you were still on base and you hadn't shaved, you would definitely hear about it.
You would hear some shit. They'd be like, "You're gonna shave that?"
Yeah.
So if you saw somebody in uniform with a beard, and it wasn't like a shaving profile beard, it was a beard. They were a special, and you could tell, who was in the SF or not.
Yeah, because they also have to walk in a door sideways because they're like jacked and stuff, and but they have a certain general.
Or they're not
look.
wearing rank, and you're like,
yes, or name patches, right, or whatever the case is, and
you could tell who's SF and who's typically.
Oh yeah.
They just have a look about them like I have other things that I'm concerned with right now.
But this is funny because
they're allowing beards now more and more often. They allow beards for religious purposes. They allow beards for a variety of things.
That takes away what is the military. That takes away of everybody being the same. And even to that extent, when we were looking at the pictures of Matthew's graduation and stuff, you can't tell, with the mask especially, you can't tell anybody, because they're all wearing the same uniform.
All you can tell pretty much is these are females, these are males.
And skin color, and that's it. Yeah. Like, in height, right? Obviously, you're going to see some that are taller than
it. But as far as identifying individuals, no.
Be like, okay, I know those 7 are not my son because they have female anatomy. And so,
and these 7 are not because they're black men or Hispanic, and all these other white guys, maybe.
And even the individual picture of him took us both back because he looked quite a bit younger, not having any facial hair.
I'll put that up here too. Here's a picture of Matthew.
Because he normally had the like a not scruffy, like not shaven,
and
but
a little chin strap, like me,
and a little goatee,
but now, no, at least then.
When he was clean, oh man, we were both just
I was like, wow, okay, jeez.
Like, what's her name? No, I'm just kidding, Matthew. Just kidding.
Yeah, it was striking to see, because when you're in the military, one of the things is that, you always hear one of these things is not like the other. You're supposed to be as much as possible, you want everything to be dress right dress. Yep. And if they relax the beard regulation too much, it's going to be a military of individuals and not a military as one cohesive unit. And one way to have unit cohesiveness is something as simple as shaving. Now, what's the big deal? It's a psychological ploy. Men shave, and we can all gripe about the same thing. Like, I gotta shave.
Yeah.
It's a simple thing. It's a stupid thing. They did say a lot about, masks can adhere better. No, a mask, your pro mask can adhere whether you have facial hair or not. That's not true.
Come on.
That's not true.
That's the white lies that they tell you about, like everything,
Your mask won't adhere if you have facial hair. If that was the case, then special forces wouldn't be allowed to have a beard. Listen, your mask can adhere fine with facial hair. It's to make sure everybody is the same. And another way for them to fuck with you, they can be like, oh,
yeah,
you need to shave. Like, well, sorry, I just shaved. Nope, not good enough.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll give you that trusty, rusty razor.
shaved twice a day because of it, and especially in training.
I feel bad for the dudes who, they grow facial hair like
not just
like a jungle.
Like serious facial hair.
White skin and black hair that like comes out like wires.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they got some shit, but.
Or the ones who are like super blonde hair and they think they can get away with it, and then they get tortured.
Yeah.
They make them shave with aqua velva instead of shaving. So good times.
Yeah, all good times, all good things.
We do need to do an episode on the importance of everybody looking the same in training and in our beliefs anyway.
Yeah.
We touched on it a little bit, and I think that would be a good episode to cover. But have you ever come in contact with, or do you know anybody in your history that has had piercings in the private areas,
No.
in nipples, penis, or I've only known one girl, and that was really it. But I mean, they're there. I mean, I hear about them. Yeah, I mean,
and I think that it's it still might be a fringe thing, but I know it's becoming more popular. It's enough that the military is cracking down on it because and it's also a hygiene thing because if when you get piercings, no matter where, you really have to take care of it because it can be an infection. Keloids can develop, and the last thing you want is for it to be fucking around your genitals and
in a place that is going to have high opportunity for infections is going to be your genital area.
And I tell you what. If you get an infection down around there, you don't want the military hospital fixing that.
Yeah, and swamp ass is a regularly occurring thing in training. So if
Did you use monkey butt or was it Gold Bond that you used for your powder?
I think it was Gold Bond, yeah.
I used monkey butt.
But I'll tell
it's so
you,
funny. I used to call my oldest son Monkey Butt, and then I went to the store and I saw a powder like Gold Bond medicated powder called Monkey Butt, and I thought it was the greatest thing. So ever since then, I've been using Monkey Butt. I highly recommend Monkey Butt. Not a sponsor.
I tell you, you get any type of, you're gonna have irritants anyway, right? Like in that groin area,
sand, whatever, grit.
Just
sweat.
We were just looking at the PT shorts from Sergeant First Class Horn, and we're like, we can't believe how short they were. That's all just a way to torture us. But if you have any piercings down there, there is going to be a possibility of infection, which I'm not sure how much leniency they're going to allow you as far as missing training. They might make you stay back for the next section.
They might recycle it for sure. Yeah, so better off just don't.
Yeah, so I mean, just in general, if you're in a profession where you do a lot of sweating in that general area, might not be wise to have those areas, Yeah, or if you're working next to magnets, say, maybe not want to have piercing on your nipples, like,
It also depends on your MOS. If you're a radiologist or something, I'd say just don't. If you're going to join the military, just serve your time, get your education, get your experience. Serve your nation, and then when you get out, pierce whatever the fuck pierce your eyelids if you want to.
Yeah, same thing with your tattoos, man.
Your beard.
Don't do any, moto tattoos before
I call that pre-boot.
You need to be in a unit for at least a year before you have earned that right. And some people even say have to be on a deployment. I think once you're in a unit for a year, you've earned your stripes, so to speak.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, don't do it before that.
You have to buy your Corvette from a retired sergeant major who's going to hook you up on a special deal from one of those buy here, pay here places right outside of Gate 4.
Yeah, if you're still looking at those places, you should not have a tattoo.
No.
A moto tattoo.
Or if you're gonna marry the first stripper you see because they fell in love with you, and none of the other soldiers or Marines that came through the past 5 years.
My father happens to be a retired sergeant major.
Yeah, who you've never met.
So, there are these things, but body modifications are a thing now, right? And some of them are recreational and can be seen as a way to identify yourself,
Sure.
People who have gray hair, they dye it. Young ladies want to have pierced ears because that's typically a woman thing, These things are happening, and I mean, obviously they're expanding past what our imagination was 20 years ago. So,
but I'd say in the military, just focus on your job, right?
Always.
Focus on your job.
And we talked about, you mentioned dip. I thought that was really funny. We met with our second most recent client. And
he packed a whole bunch in, too.
And when's the last time you saw that since P? Probably haven't, huh?
I haven't.
So
Nope.
There you go. Smoking, dipping, drinking, body modifications.
So smoke them if you got them.
Right?
Or don't. It's bad for you.
Yeah, there's that too.
Vaping is the new thing.
Yes.
Vaping.
Yeah. I still just say if you're going to do it, just like inject yourself with as many steroids as possible.
Look what happened to me.
Just do it all at once. Drink, smoke, dip. If you're going to do it, do it all. Right? Life's a gamble. Throw the dice, okay?
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. That's funny. Life is a gamble. Damn it.